one do I want? Hello, everyone. I am Jez, one of the founders of FunFair. We have some other founders here and some of the dev team. FunFair is a platform for doing fun and fair casino gaming using the blockchain and smart contracts. So we founded the company more than a year ago in 2017, myself, Jeremy, and Ollie, who are over there. Actually, this is a great time in Paris because exactly a year ago at EdCon, we demonstrated the first games using off-chain processing, and that was in February. In April, we came out as a company and showed people what we were doing, and we did a token sale in June. The company has expanded rapidly since then, and we're now 40 people in London. And we've been on the testnet for the last year, but we're soon to launch our live beta on the mainnet in only weeks. So our mission was to utilize the power of the blockchain and smart contracts to improve the gaming industry by tackling the perception, the negative perception of fairness in games. So we've done that with maximum transparency. So everything about the way the games run is fully transparent and utilizes smart contracts and blockchain technology as far as possible. The UK Gambling Commission, UKGC, just did a poll that they announced only a few days ago that showed actually a very small percentage of people actually trust that casinos and the games they play are fair. So we think that we can improve that by providing the technology that guarantees a fair game for the players. We also protect the players' funds from abuse by the casino, because in a traditional online casino, the players have to make a deposit first into the casino before they can play any games, and the casino has custody of all of the players' funds. Whereas with the technology that we've built, the player doesn't have to do that. The player doesn't make a deposit. The player plays from their own wallet, and any wins go back to their own wallet. So there's no custody issues. We think that this technology will make everyone happier, bring peace of mind to both the players, but also the casino operators themselves, the games developers who make the casino games, and everyone else. That we built the tech so that no one can cheat, and that should improve the trust that players have in playing online casino games. So FunFair is an Ethereum-based decentralized casino technology. We cater for all of the parties in the ecosystem at the same time, and we do that in a transparent and efficient manner. We've built our own state channel technology that we call Fate channels. Everyone gets to choose their own cool name for their technology. There's Lightning Network and Plasma and Counterfactual and Raiden and as are Fate channels. What they allow us to do is make sure that the games are fun by playing fast, but they're also fair, and that's where we got our name from. Don't know if we can, that may not be that readable. This is showing the way that the ecosystem participates. Actually, I'm right-handed. This is the casino operators, and the casino operators have their own ecosystem, including the players that the casino operators acquire through marketing means, and also the affiliates that send players to casino operators, so they operate together. This is the FunFair platform, and we power the whole lot using the Fun token to create this ecosystem. We use the Fate channel technology to run the smart contracts off-chain. Those are game transactions, and then also game developers provide games that exist in the ecosystem and are paid by the casino operators. So we thought we'd give you a taste of what we're doing first by showing you a demo, and then there'll be more technical discussion. So here we're using the standard Chrome browser with MetaMask. And you can go to this site. It's been live for the last year. It's showcase.funfair.io. We'll just lower the volume a little bit. Good. So the front end is a lobby system that is showing the games that the casino operator has chosen to make available. The casino operators curate the games from a dApp store. Any games developers create games, put them in this dApp store, and the casino operators can choose which ones are visible to the player. So here we've chosen to play roulette, the French European roulette, which has 1-0. We've clicked to deposit money into the game, and you saw the MetaMask pop-up happen. Now we're waiting for the blockchain to open the state channel. There it's done. So now the games are real time. Everything that you're playing is every bit as good as existing online games. You're not waiting for the blockchain. You're able to do multiple spins of the roulette wheel in real time. Here we're everything is now happening off-chain. So the bets, the wins, the random numbers, all of that is happening off-chain. Sorry, we're just messing with the volume there. So this is showing that every time you hit spin, the game happens immediately. There's no delay. You're not waiting for the blockchain at all. These games are all JavaScript games using WebGL, and they don't require any download or install. They don't need Flash or Unity or anything like that. Okay, now we've actually shown that we've cashed out. I'm going to go in more detail about how the fake channels work in a second. And we'll look on the blockchain. I'm not sure if that shows up. No, good. Good luck reading that. So the fake channels themselves are a node-based architecture. They're highly scalable sideways, so you can run as many nodes as you want. Each casino operator actually runs a node. So as many casino operators as we have actually licensed will each have their own set of players, and the players are mostly running off-chain. So part of the state channel system, when you actually open a channel, when you open a channel, you'll see in a moment, we'll demonstrate that the random number generator is seeded by both the player and the operator. And the fake channel service then serves real-time random numbers for the game just in time. The state channels that we've developed are what's called general purpose state channels, in that they're not just doing payments, they're actually doing everything. They're running the entire game off-chain in smart contracts. They're what we call Turing-complete state channels, in that anything that you can do, more or less anything you can do in the smart contract, you can do off-chain. The reason why we do it off-chain is to make it run fast, and it's fast to make it fun. It's also very gas efficient to do it this way. We have full transparency and provability for the games, and that goes for the random numbers themselves, which are provably fair because of a commit reveal scheme that we're using, but also the games themselves are in pre-published smart contracts, which means that they can be audited and verified by experts to prove that they are fair, and that players can actually look at the smart contracts and see that in real time. Each node supports hundreds of simultaneous players, which is potentially thousands of transactions per second. This state channel technology is what we call an engineering solution, in that we've built it to work today. There's no funky math or moon math. We're not waiting for anything. We're not waiting for Casper or sharding. It runs today, and it delivers a very efficient scaling solution. So here I'm going to talk through what's happening. This is a dual screen, where on the left, it's diagrammatically showing what's happening in the state channels, and on the right is a slot machine running. So first it's going to whiz through it and show you what happens in real time. The player has chosen the game. The player and the operator have selected the game together. The deposit has been made. The game is now waiting for the confirmation on the blockchain. Various transactions happen. Actually, we're going to play it slower in a second. Yeah, that's it running in real time, which you obviously can't follow. And in a second, we're going to show you it slowed down. Okay, so now we've paused the game. We'll show you that the player and the operator decide on the game. They seed their random numbers together, so both the player and the casino provide entropy that seeds the initial random number generator. They confirm that this has happened. The player and the casino operator will also bring funds into the real-time escrow in the fake channel, and they confirm that that's happened.
We've now actually moved on to the game.
Okay, so now we're about to spin the game. We're going to click.
Hang on a second.
Okay.
So
So when the player hits spin, now the fake channel provides real-time random numbers that come from both the player and the casino operator, and they're combined together to produce the random number that the game is using to decide on the position of the reels, or in the case of a roulette table, the position the ball lands on, and so on. Okay. So in order to make sure that it's robust and fair, it needs to be able to detect cheating, but it also needs to be able to resolve the cheating by resolving the dispute. And the way that we do that is by pushing back to the chain a dispute so that the smart contract on-chain can execute and be the final judge and jury. And I said here also executioner, because the cheater will lose their deposit. So it's expensive to cheat. Obviously, it's reputationally damaging for the cheater as well. So with this solution, no one can cheat. The player can't cheat, the casino can't cheat. And it's all done off-chain, using the on-chain as the judge and jury. So you're probably wondering how our fake channel solution is different than other state channels. And so just to highlight a few differences, the Raiden is a payment channel, and there are other payment channel solutions. I think SpankChain is using one. I can't remember who from. In the fake channel case, it's not just payments happening off-chain, it's everything. So the entire smart contract code is built with a state machine and is able to run fully off-chain. Also, the state channel, our fake channels commit these random numbers and serve them in real time, and that's done at the opening of the state channel. So it's integral in the channel opening, the seeding of the random number generator. Obviously, we compute and settle payments in real time. Those are bets that the players made, wins from the casino. It also separates out the payment to the game developer for their revenue share and the payment to the affiliate, as well as the casino operator. So it does all of that in the state channel so that everyone gets fairly paid that should get paid. We're also considering doing a burn of a transaction fee that the system charges and burns to be like a consumable ticket, but we're investigating the possibilities for that. We haven't committed to do it yet. One of the key differences of our state channel versus other ones is that we believe that state channels for now need to be short-lived. So in ours, they last just for the duration of the game session. They don't live there for months like some of the other state channels. We're not sure, actually, that people want to leave funds in channels for long periods of time, at least not for now, maybe one day. So in our case, the funds are locked for minutes or hours, not days, months, or years. We're using a single hop architecture, which is that the player is communicating directly with the node, which is the casino operator. At this time, we are not sure that multi-hop architecture will be suitable because it relies on a density of users before it's effective. So for instance, if you wanted to send a payment from two people that don't know each other with a multi-hop, everyone in between in the routing also needs to have left funds in their channels for it to operate. So we don't think that's going to happen until there's a high density. So we don't think that multi-hop transfers are going to be effective at this time. We use fast end-to-end dispute resolution because we believe that players don't want to wait days or weeks for their dispute to be resolved. We think it should be resolved in hours. Also, we're very impressed with Counterfactual and the work that they're doing. We want to highlight some of the differences. With fake channels, our smart contracts are published in advance. They're pre-published partly because the games have to be audited and have to be proven to be fair, and they have to be possibly audited by regulators, possibly audited by technical auditors and so on. So we believe that the smart contracts have to be on-chain before they're used. Similarly, in counterfactual, the contracts don't actually exist on-chain until there's a dispute, which forces one of the parties to actually post the contract on-chain at the time of the dispute, which can get expensive. For instance, FunFair's smart contracts are actually real smart contracts that have game code in them. They have significant game logic, and they're millions of gas. And if the player was playing a game and had a dispute with the casino and had to publish the contract, I've lost my video feed. Oops. Ah. If the player had to publish the smart contract on chain at the time of the dispute, that would be a cost incurred to the player just to do the dispute, and millions of gas is quite expensive. So we think that, in our case at least, pre-publishing the smart contracts on chain is more transparent and also significantly less cost for when you need to do a dispute. One last thing is that counterfactual allows context switching of apps while the channel is still open, and we're not currently doing that because we're researching the security issues involved in that. Because we not only have untrusted players and casinos, we have untrusted game developers producing games, and we don't want to have the risk of game developers stealing funds from the channel from each other. So for now, we're keeping the channel open only during the game session and then closing at the end of the game session. But we will look into that. So in terms of games development, a typical game is in two parts. It's the DApp, which is the graphics user interface, and it's also audio and content and the fun visual side of the game. And then the smart contract is the back end. It does the processing of the game logic, and it decides if the player should have won, make sure they get paid, and so on. So all games are built in two parts. Because fairness is more than just what's in the smart contract, we have a whitelisting system where game developers create games and then they submit them to us initially, and we'll examine them for fairness. And fairness is not only the code, but it's also how they look and how they depict the game and how they show the cards or how they show the wheel or the ball landing on the roulette wheel and so on. So fairness is end to end. It's not just about smart contracts. And someone has to look at the games and decide that they're fair and bless them, make them whitelisted. But eventually we're going to defer that to a whitelisting authority that could actually be the community or could actually be an outside whitelisting authority. So in terms of scaling and capacity, this is potentially infinitely scalable because it's node-based, and there could be lots of nodes. As mentioned, each casino operator runs their own node. A node looks like an Ethereum node, so it's running Geth or Parity, and it's also running our Fake Channel service. Different nodes host different players, so each casino operator is responsible for acquiring their own players, and they can all coexist separately on each node. The hard limits are actually the blockchain block size and how much gas there is in a block, and a rough approximation is 100 players a minute could start a game session, but obviously game sessions could last hours. So potentially that's hundreds or thousands of games in each session. So we launched FunFair to the casino gaming industry a few weeks ago at a very big casino gaming exhibition in London called ICE. We've already submitted to the UK Gambling Commission for a developer license. We actually are not going to be a casino ourselves, so we don't need an operating license. We're going to be publishing the API and sample game source code for how to build games for this platform within weeks. You can see the system today is fully functional on the test nets on Coven and Ropsten and so on. Go to showcase.funfair.io and you can play more than 10 games today using, some of them are running on the blockchain and some of them are not. We plan to go live with the first casinos on the main net in weeks' time. We said in Q2, we're hoping it's going to be single-digit weeks away. So thank you very much. I'm happy to take questions, and I can also leave running a preview of some games that we haven't shown on the showcase yet while we're answering questions. So, thank you. So, the first two are an Egyptian slot machine and a medieval slot machine. We haven't named them yet, I'll press. There we go, started. Okay, who wants to ask questions?
Hi, I'm just wondering, what's your business model? Like, how do you make money off of this?
Can you turn it up a little bit on that? Or is that? Is there a bit of volume on there, or is that? So we are taking a model similar to tech companies in that we are all about disrupting an industry, and so we're actually not looking for any revenue for the short term. We believe that adoption is the key, and disrupting the entire industry means taking a long view. So we actually are not charging any revenue. So all of the revenue the casino operator and the affiliates and the game developers make, FunFair is not currently charging any revenue. We got very lucky there. Next question.
So I have a question regarding the random number generator. So as per the description, fate channels are the smart contracts which are generating the random numbers. And they have a seed which was given when the contract was maybe deployed. So theoretically, because the outcome is fixed, I could actually predict the sequence of random numbers that's going to show up.
No, you can't. No. So the way they work is we use a commit reveal scheme. So when the player sits down to the table and starts to play a game and it opens the state channel or fate channel, the entropy from both the player and the house are merged together and hashed. We use a technique called hash chains, where we hash the number and then hash it again and hash it again, hash it thousands of times. We put the seed, the first hash, on the blockchain, but in real time, the fate channel serves the hashes in reverse order so that they wouldn't be known. And you can't, the security is there in the hashes because you can't reverse hashes. It's impossible. So both sides are operating these hash chains. And as the game is played, the real-time random numbers are served to the games as they need them, just in time. So no one can foresee the outcome of the random numbers, and yet they're provably fair. And they are proven when the game session ends. We can then reveal the initial seed that was put on the chain, and you can hash forwards and see the entire sequence, which is provably fair. Every single random number generated was in the same sequence, but you don't have that information until the end.
So everything is happening on the private chain, right?
Sorry, say again?
So all the game is happening on the private chain.
There's no private chain. Everything is happening.
But you said that you have some nodes and...
Yeah, so we're actually executing the smart contract off-chain. So there's only one copy of the game logic itself, and that's in the smart contract that is published on the chain, except that both the player and the house are executing that smart contract off-chain fast, and they only go on-chain when there's a dispute, which is hopefully rare.
Yes, really, really awesome. I was wondering, how do you make the UI fair?
Right. So that's why we mentioned the whitelisting process, because the UI is very important for fairness, and that's why it's not just about smart contract fairness, it's also about everything to do with the game. So that's why we're doing whitelisting. So that although games developers could create their own games, we don't allow them to be put in the lobby unless they've been whitelisted first. And obviously an authority, which initially is us, but eventually could be the industry, will actually decide the whitelisting of games.
Well,
thank you very much for your talk, Jez. It was very interesting. But I'd like to know, how are people to buy Fun tokens? Are they going to be available directly in the game, or are they going to be having to deal with an exchange before being able to get onto the system?
So initially, people will probably buy them from exchanges, and some of the exchanges, it's already available on many exchanges, but we foresee decentralized exchanges and relayers being very popular. So although you won't buy them directly from the game, it could easily point you at one of the decentralized exchanges if you need to acquire the Fun tokens.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thanks for the talk. Does FunFair support multiplayer games, or is this just single player with the player and then the casino?
So initially we focused on player versus casino or head-to-head games, and the Fate channel right now is a two-party Fate channel. We will be enlarging that into multiplayer in the future. We're focusing on the single-player games right now, but there are many kinds of casino games that are multiplayer, like progressive slots or bingo or lotteries and so on. So yes, we will definitely be supporting multiplayer games in the future.
So is the role of the node then just being the house?
Can you say again?
Is the role of the node then that's running just being like the house?
That's right, yeah. Right now the node is the house.
Okay.
But there can be as many casino operators running as many nodes as we want.
Sure, thank you.
So it's an open market and it's fully decentralized, so each node is completely separate and standalone.
Cool, thank you.
Hey, thanks for the presentation. I was wondering, since you told that the Fate channels are supposed to be short-lived, I assume the settlement of the funds are made on-chain. How does it not rely too heavily on the net, on the blockchain, in this way?
Do you want to take that, Jeremy? I'm going to introduce you to Jeremy, our CTO, who's going to talk in more detail on that.
Thank you.
Hi everyone. Fundamentally, I mean, it does, right? I mean, at the moment we have two transactions in the channel, one to open it and one to close it, and that's pretty much the minimum that we think we can do. They're pretty lightweight transactions. Now we're still working on the optimization of the gas costs, but clearly, as Jez said, there was a fixed limit of people that could start a transaction in a given block, and that's the same as an end block. So we've chosen to have short channels for now because we think they're simpler and they're easier to get right. Jez is continually bugging me to make them a little bit longer, and we'll look at that in the future. But for now, it's definitely bound at the end of the session by the performance of the chain at that point. Otherwise, you can't get your tokens back.
But the only delay that the user ever notices is the opening of the channel when they sit down at the table. The actual, when they click cash out, they don't have to wait for it. It's just going to happen anyway. So there's only really one transaction that they're on the blockchain that they're waiting for.
And in the current model, the user opens the channel and the house closes it. So the gas costs are split equally between the two parties.
Yeah, next question.
Yeah, excuse me?
Where are we? Over there.
So I wanted to ask two small questions. Essentially, I tried to find the source code. Is it open right now to check how the Fate channels work? I would be really interested to see it.
So we haven't opened it while we've been in development, but we are about to open it. So the answer is that we need it to be open source to be provably fair. Sorry? Open. So yes, you will be able to see the source code of the Fate channels, absolutely. But there are multiple reasons why we didn't open it during development, but the main one is security. Many of the scams and hacks that have happened in our community have been because of open source code and people being able to fake wallets or applications and steal people's money. So we want to only open them when they're ready.
Okay, I'm mostly interested in the Fate channels themselves, not the rest. I just want to see how the Fate channels work because I also work on state channels, like I work for Raiden.
Yeah, cool. I mean, I will write, I've written a few bits and pieces, but I will write a full write-up of it in the next few weeks when we finalise the actual thing. I do actually want to write about what we're actually doing, and we are still tweaking the last few sort of parameters, but there will be a full write-up of it in due course. Just be patient. Great,
thanks. And one last question. You said that it's pretty expensive to open a channel and that you envision them to be opened and closed pretty often. Isn't that a bit
it's not that expensive to open them. We don't think we said that. No, we're optimizing that as much as we can. It will be pretty lightweight. It's more expensive than a single token transfer because it transfers 2 tokens, but hopefully not much more. It should be pretty lightweight.
It's actually more efficient to use token opening than ETH opening. Yeah, over here.
So, is it the system which automatically creates the disputes, or it's a user who needs to create a claim?
Yeah, I mean it's a complicated thing. It's actually been the most difficult part of the puzzle to solve is the dispute resolution. Basically, and again this will all be written up as well. It should be economically pointless for anyone to actually try and cheat the system, and that's the model that we're getting trying to get right now.
What's happening if the user doesn't notice that he has been cheated?
Well, I mean, we are building the client software which will check that, right? So, I mean, ultimately, it will be automatically detected by the client. Essentially, because the game logic is being advanced simultaneously both on the client and on the server, they can check that that each party comes up with the same result. And if the two are different, then we take it to the chain. So it's a fully automated process in that respect, if that makes sense. Yeah.
It's important to It's important to note that we're the tech provider. We provide this to the casino operators, but the casino operators, the players, the game developers, the affiliates, they're all untrusted parties. So we're building the tech to let this be a fair ecosystem. Thank you very much, everyone. Thanks.